World Bank offers a $3.8 billion loan to aid poverty alleviation. Israel eyes agricultural cooperation with Vietnam. Hello, it's Ling Hương from Hanoi and welcome to another episode of Bizline, your economic program on VTV4. And as usual, we kickstart our show with several highlights in the economic scene for the past week. President of the World Bank Group, Jim Yong Kim, had an official visit in Vietnam starting on July 17th. According to the President Jim, Vietnam is one of the two countries eligible for a preferential loan of $3.8 billion to aid poverty alleviation. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tân Dũng offered his sincere thanks to President Jim and stated his commitment to use the capital to achieve Vietnam's sustainable goals. At another meeting, Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng praised the World Bank's cooperation and contribution towards Vietnam's socio-economic development and poverty reduction. The World Bank delegation committed to use concrete actions to support Vietnam in further achieving development goals. President Trương Tấn Sang received the governor of Japan's Bank for International Cooperation, or JBIC, Hiroshi Watanabe, in Hanoi on July 15th. Governor Watanabe emphasized the strengthening cooperative relationship between the two states, particularly in implementing the roadmap to join the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, or TPP. President Trương Tấn Sang said Vietnam hoped to welcome more Japanese investors in the future. Governor Watanabe said Japanese businesses hailed Vietnam's investment environment and its political trust. The two countries discussed cooperation on the building of a number of thermal power plants in Nghi Sơn, Vũng Áng, and Vân Phong. According to foreign economic experts, Vietnam still maintains its economic growth with positive signs in FDI inflows in the first half of this year. According to reports from the World Bank, although FDI inflows decreased by 35.3% compared to the same period last year, capital disbursements only dropped by 0.9% year-on-year. Notably, FDI into real estate sector accounted only for 10% of total FDI inflows, while 70% of FDI flowed into production. The assessment has reaffirmed confidence in the economy despite rising tensions in the EC with China. Made in Vietnam products are being showcased at the Singapore Gifts and Premiums Fair 2014 starting on July 17th. At the three-day event, 6 Vietnamese companies represented high-quality goods ranging from jewelry to handicraft items made from natural materials. This is the fourth time Vietnam has attended such an event to look for market expansion opportunities. The Office Expo Asia 2014 is also taking place in Singapore, attracting 110 companies, including the BKAV Vietnam Technology Group. BKAV has already established the smart home company in Singapore to bring its products to this world market. The 16th International Footwear and Leather Exhibition opened on July 16th in Ho Chi Minh City, organized by the Vietnam Leather Footwear and Handbag Association. More than 150 international companies from 18 countries attended the exhibition. This annual event provides domestic firms with the opportunity to meet foreign partners and look for cooperative projects. This is likely to be important as Vietnam is finishing negotiations for the upcoming Vietnam-EU Free Trade Agreement and the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. National flag carrier Vietnam Airlines has poured nearly $25 million into low-cost carrier Jetstar Pacific, retaining its position as the leading shareholder with a 69% stake. Jetstar Pacific General Director Lê Hồng Hà revealed that the increase in capital was made at the end of June, and shareholders agreed to increase its charter capital to nearly $121.5 million. Australia's Qantas Airways has contributed more than $10 million, keeping its 30% stake in the joint venture. Saigon Tourist Travel Services reduced its ownership stake from over 6.1% in 2008 to 1% at present. Jetstar Pacific now has 10 Airbus A320 aircrafts and plans to increase its fleet to 15 by 2016. Those are several highlights from last week. We'll now move on to a discussion on Israeli investments in Vietnam in agriculture sector in our crosstalk. Last year, trade turnover between Vietnam and Israel reached over $1.1 billion. Though this number is still humble, there is much potential for bilateral cooperation, particularly in high-tech agricultural application. Vietnam highlights Israel's development of science and technology in the agricultural area, and both nations should devise common mechanisms to create a favorable environment for businesses and streamline administrative formalities. In the Vietnam-Israel Agricultural Business Forum held earlier this week in Hanoi, leading agricultural enterprises from Vietnam and Israel discussed ways to strengthen bilateral agro-forestry fishery cooperation. Let's now take a glimpse into the event and the official launching of the Vietnam-Israel desk under the Israel-Asia Chamber of Commerce. Speaking at the forum, Ms. Marav Shah, Israeli ambassador in Hanoi, pointed out that trade between the two countries had been on a steady rise.
1.1, you could appreciate it's very far from the potential. I believe that both economies are complementing one another. They are not competing with one another, and that's why the potential is much greater.
With the aim of promoting two-way trade, the Vietnam-Israel desk was established under the Israel-Asia Chamber of Commerce. 4 leading Israeli companies in agriculture attended the forum to look for Vietnamese partners. Agrotop is a big name in poultry sector with 80% market share in Israel. The company wants to bring its state-of-the-art technology to build up effective and modern agricultural models in Vietnam.
Vietnam for us is a business opportunity. We see a country which is big in population, with very enthusiastic people, a brave nation I might add, and I see a need to cover this big country with a supply, with a constant supply, not only in Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi, but also maybe in the more smaller cities or even in the villages.
Israeli participating companies are optimistic about the business opportunities in Vietnam because Vietnam is heading towards high-tech agriculture. However, Vietnamese companies are still facing some difficulties.
Cái khó của Việt Nam bây giờ là cái khó khăn đầu tiên là về vốn. Thế nhưng mà thực ra thì cái đấy cũng không phải là cái chúng ta không tìm đường ra, bởi vì khi chúng ta có sản phẩm tốt, có dự án tốt, có sản phẩm tốt thì chúng ta vẫn có thể đi vay vốn. The export turnovers of Vietnam agroforestry fishery are more than $27 billion per year, 9 times more than Israel's. But the economic value per agricultural land hectare of Israel are 10 to 20 times higher than Vietnam. Therefore, Vietnam's agriculture will have the opportunity to develop more strongly if acquiring the technical advances of Israel. On this occasion of the launch of the Vietnam-Israel desk, I sat down to talk with Mr. Omri Horowitz, chairman of the Vietnam-Israel desk, to find out more about the prospect of Israeli companies' investment in Vietnam. Well, thank you very much for taking your time being here with us today.
Thank you.
So my first question is, what's the mission of the Israel-Vietnam desk under the Israel-Asia Chamber of Commerce, and how is this going to operate?
The mission is to help Israeli and Vietnamese companies to interact with each other. At the moment, the connection between the two economies is weak, is not strong. It's getting stronger, but it's not enough. So we have to build the channel. We have to build the platform that people from both sides can connect, can exchange commercial information, and can do business.
So now tell us about the current status of trade and investment ties between Vietnam and Israel, and how is it going to change in the near future?
Ties are mainly in the regular commerce products, consumer goods, food, agriculture, and garment. I think there is a very big interest of businessmen, of Israeli businessmen in Vietnam now, realizing that Vietnam is becoming a good place to make business in. And I think next step is already happens is the big projects in agriculture. We are doing a lot of agriculture here. The milk product, the poultry farms, the fishery farms, greenhouses. So we help agriculture grow here, and we like it because it's a good cooperation. I think in the future we would like to see segments like medical devices and higher technologies coming into place.
Tell us more specifically about what are the businesses from Israel operating here in Vietnam, and do they trade with Vietnamese people or do they invest in Vietnamese companies? What exactly do they do here?
Until now, most of the Israelis were trying to sell technologies. I think the one that succeeded in Vietnam are companies which understood that you cannot just sell a technology or a product. You have to come with a solution. You have to find a local partner to do a project from A to Z, and you can find excellent examples for that in the milk industry. And we want to make such same thing. We understand that we can do here very big projects. We understand that we have to invest and to think about the financial solutions in order to make big projects here.
Tell us more about the successful cooperation between Vietnam and Israel. Tell us more about those successful models.
I asked the commercial attaché office what kind of things are going on here between Israelis and Vietnam, and we found out that there is a know-how transfer. We are doing a lot of training, a lot of knowledge transfer, a lot of technologies that we give from Israeli companies to people here in Vietnam. And to that stage, this is a success. It's not enough. The all trade volume is, as we heard this evening, is somewhere around 1 billion. This is peanuts. In order to grow this, you have to go to new segments, both for technological and also to the consumer markets. We have to diversify the segments that we are working in.
What do Israeli investors look for in a business climate?
Profit.
Just profit?
No. We want to take advantage of what we think is our advantage. The technology is a big advantage of us, and we want to implement it wherever we can, because that's how we grow. And we grow by putting a lot of R&D to work and then to utilize it. We don't have any other thing to sell. That's our expertise. We develop and we sell the knowledge, and we're making profit out of the knowledge.
Now, based on your insights, how do Israeli investors view Vietnam? What are Vietnam's strengths and weaknesses?
Israeli would like to see more visibility. We don't really understand the market. We don't understand the procedures. We don't know how decision making is being done. We would like to know more how things are happening here. Second thing is stability. We're looking for stability. Stability is important for people who are thinking many years ahead and not only a quarter. On the other hand, what is working for the Israelis here is Vietnamese. They are very ambitious. They want to make business, and we feel the energy of people who are trying to make more. And we like it as an Israelis. It works well with Israelis. Israeli like entrepreneurs. They like ambitious people. And I think Vietnam has it.
For Israeli companies that are new to Vietnam, what would be the preferred market entry options? Will it be joint ventures or M&A?
Definitely joint ventures. An Israeli company would not be able to work alone in a market that we understand almost nothing about. And the objective of every Israeli company would be first to find a good partner, a good reliable partner. Merger and acquisition, I don't see it as an option at the moment. And also because of the differences between the regulations in both economies.
But will it be an option in the future?
Yeah, definitely so. When a connection between markets is become to be mature, I think the tools, merger and acquisitions will happen.
So far, what sectors have been at the forefront of Israeli investment into Vietnam?
Agriculture, definitely. I would say homeland security would be as well. I know there is a lot of activities in homeland security. I'm talking about companies that sell security equipment like guarding on homes, guarding on buildings, etc. organization, and materials and around agriculture.
Vietnam has started to apply technologies from Israel to advance its agriculture production. One of such projects is a dairy farm in Nghĩa Đàn, Nghệ An province, a partnership between Vietnamese TA True Milk and the Israel-based AfriMilk. With a total investment of nearly $350 million, this 1,500-hectare closed process farm comprises of all phases of milk production, from feed growing, feed processing, and veterinary care to the milking process. Every concept and technology here is imported from Israel. The center pivot irrigation system, the first of its kind on this scale seen in Vietnam, has been put in place to solve the problem of irrigation over large areas. Totally controlled by computer, it not only gives the same amount of water for each square meter, but also mixes fertilizer with water to enrich the soil.
This is 300 meters long, so it irrigates 600 meters. And in the corners you have a gun sprinkler, although it is quite costly, but it's still beneficial to do with these. And of course in the different seasons, if you want constant supply of food, you need to have food no matter when.
The logistics center provides all the services for the cows. Here at the feed center, the farmers can produce 600 tons of food per day, every day around the year. These high-tech machines are making it easier to process hundreds of tons of food per day for thousands of cows.
Here, compared to Vietnamese agriculture, we have our own field crops. Okay, so we take land, big scale of land, and we plant big fields, not working in family fields like usually.
The logistics center also includes a water treatment facility, a wastewater treatment plant, and a compost plant, all of which are controlled by Israeli experts. Cooling the cows is a big problem in a hot country like Vietnam, as cows are sensitive animals. But the Israeli experts have predicted this and come up with a solution.
It's ventilators with sprinklers that showers the cow. This is showers the cows daily, and it's air conditioned for them. And if they are cool, so they can produce more milk, because a cow cannot sweat like we do.
Cutting-edge technology like this monitoring chips from Israel have also been applied to aid the milking process. The chip is directly attached to the cow's legs to control the cow's health and quality of milk. The Vietnamese workers here are accompanied by Israeli staff to foster the training process.
The people who came to work in the farm, most of them young people that didn't know anything about farm before, about dairy farm before. And in 2 years, right now, we got 5 actually, Vietnamese manager in each farm.
Some of the main positions are now held by Vietnamese staff. Liu Hoài Nam is one of the first Vietnamese managers of the farms.
Họ làm việc với nỗ lực hết mình, rất là tận tụy và hết lòng, giống như là người thầy dạy bảo bọn mình luôn, tức là trong cái thời gian từ đầu đến cuối luôn. Thế khi mà bây giờ cái giai đoạn mà sắp hết cái giai đoạn chuyển giao thì gần như là tất cả các kiến thức của họ đã truyền sang cho đội ngũ người Việt rồi.
The Afimilk and TA True Milk partnership is now in its 5th year. Out of the 12 dairies, 6 are already operational, and in 5 of them, the milky parlor is functioning on a daily basis. When completed, there will be 12 farms with a total of 137,000 dairy cows over an area of 37,000 hectares in Nghệ Đan District, Nghệ An Province.
Despite limited land for agriculture and semi-arid climate, Israel has, for recent years, managed to produce and export agro products valued at billions of US dollars. What is key to this success?
First of all, is to put a lot of R&D. R&D is the key to everything. I think we put more than 4.5% of our GDP to R&D in this, which is by far, I think, the biggest number to R&D. You have to be an entrepreneur. You have to tackle difficult problems and must solve them. And the fact that we have a tough weather, a tough land, and it helps because we are facing these problems. These are real problems for us. So we have to invent the wheel every day.
So what is your remark on the similarities between Vietnam and Israel in developing agriculture sector?
It's difficult to find similarities in the conditions because the conditions of Israel and conditions of Vietnam are very much different. But I think the face of Vietnam today is to export more and more. And Israel being a place which only exports. I think that on that ground we have a lot of similarities.
Which geographical regions of Vietnam are Israeli companies most interested in?
In the past, it was the south, but I would suspect that the less developed regions at the moment looks more promising to Israeli companies.
What's the reason?
Because you can do more. I mean, the south is occupied with a lot of companies. There's a lot of competition, and we know the budgets for developing the rural areas up in the north. The investment in building new facilities would go to other places than the traditional south.
High-tech agriculture has been one of the priorities in Vietnam and Israel cooperation over the past 20 years. Tell us about the results of this cooperation.
Well, I would say the most notable is I think the milk market, which is now being, I wouldn't say dominated, but definitely led by technologies invented or brought from Israel.
What kind of good quality from Israel technology in producing milk that Vietnam has adopted?
Managing the milking, more milk out of the cows, getting more a better milk, getting good health of the cows, and getting all the process of making good milk products out of the raw material of milk. In Israel, we grew up on milk products. That's what we eat every day.
Now, speaking of the cooperation between the two countries in agriculture, what would be the biggest challenges?
We marked what would be the next steps, and the next steps would be bringing real production, real agricultural production factories. In order to implement them in Vietnam, we will need to execute it properly. So we need a strong partner who can really execute large-scale and sophisticated projects like this, and we'll have to tackle the issue of financing such a big program.
For those challenges in technology and finance, what would be the solutions for the two countries to tackle these issues?
First of all, there was good step. There is a very nice protocol signed between Israel and Vietnam, which can be a good direction to solve the financial issues. I think a lot of Israeli companies coming to Vietnam and wishing to make a project are looking into solutions like the protocol, and of course loans from the banking would be from a Western banking, because the interest over there is much lower than here.
Now tell us about what are Israel's specific plans to assist Vietnam in high-tech agriculture.
Companies like Agrotop or BioBee, they know how to produce much more from the same land than it was before. So we think that with the assistance of Israeli technology, Vietnamese farmers would grow more from every hectare.
Agriculture sector in Vietnam is now facing a lot of problems, mostly because it still has to deal with a lot of smallholders. Will it be possible to apply technology to this quite fragmented sector?
Well, a fragmented sector, it puts a challenge for us. And I know of some of the best companies that really tackled that issue and produced or invented or put on the table good solutions for small agriculture farms. And we understand that the agriculture farm has to have the whole solution that is bringing the full ecosystem of a greenhouse that can be with the drifting system, with cultivating, with the fertilizing system, everything which can help him grow better. And the question about the cost, it may be a little bit more expensive than they used to spend until now, but it's worth, because they grow more and they grow better production. Then I think it's feasible.
Mr. Omri Horowitz, thank you very much for joining our program. And that is the end of our Crosstalk and Bizline this week. Thank you very much for being with us. You can go to vtv4.vn to rewatch our program or go to youtube.com/vtv4go. From our team here in Hanoi, until next time.